Hello, and welcome to the Flick List here on WTCO. My name is Drew.
My name is Erin.
All right, I am Drew. I work here at this fine, I don't know, I guess it's an establishment with like weird film strips moving behind us here, something like that. What do you do?
I am a manager at a movie theater.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds fun.
It is fun.
Yeah. Perks?
Free
Lots of
movies.
perks. Free movies, yeah. Yeah, that would come in handy.
All the customer service you could ever dream of.
Yeah. It's all great, and that's all good customer service,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it
No
be?
one ever has any problems ever.
No. Yeah, my kid did this thing. Oh, man. Oh. I don't think this even just applies to the movie business. When anyone starts off a sentence with the words, my kid, it's not going to be good.
Like, great, take care of it. It's your kid.
Yeah. Very seldom is it like, my kid loves your establishment and he's going to give you a 5-star Yelp review. Those sentences never end that way. It's
Not really.
It's usually something bad, like my kid made a mess in the bathroom. My kid punched another kid. You know, it's just not good. But speaking of punching people, we're going to be talking about being attacked. But not us personally, but we're attacks done by animals onto usually other people or perhaps another animal, but mostly animals attacking people because this is our When Animals Attack episode.
Yes.
Where just in case you don't know how the show works, we talk about 10 movies. I pick 5 movies. Erin picks 5 movies, and about a particular subject, criteria, fill in the blank reasons we make this list. And this just happened, and she just happened to point or pick the number next to animal attacks because that's how Erin picks lists.
Yep. I like random rolls of dice.
Yeah, or in this case, getting picked by your phone.
Yep. Yeah.
But it is, what is that, a dice app?
I think that one was just a random number generator.
Random number generator.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and this one landed on animals attack. So, animals attack, and we kind of wanted it to be, you know, there's a lot of attack type movies or people being, you know, there's like creatures and things like that, like Godzilla or Alien or things like that. But we wanted to keep it kind of somewhat realistic. Either it had to be like a real animal or like maybe like a mutated version of a real animal, like a giant bird or like not just one snake, but a million snakes. You know, we kind of keep it. That was kind of the criteria for this list in particular. Although maybe someday we'll expand it and do like more unrealistic things. Not like everything in this list is going to be realistic, of course. Which we will find out about.
Pick your favorite kaiju.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Oh man, I love Gamera. But anyway, everybody loves giant turtles. I suppose Gamera would have qualified, but he's more of a defender than an attacker, so because he is a giant turtle.
Yeah.
But we kind of want to. But the people he goes up, or the other kaiju he goes up against are kind of, I don't think they're too realistic. But anyway, we should probably get on with the list. And just in case you're watching this on YouTube, we have, if I'm on the right side of the screen here, down here there's a little thumbs up button right down here. We'd appreciate it if you clicked that because that helps us out a lot. Okay.
And share it with your friends.
Share and... Yeah, there we go. All right, on to the list. What is Erin's number 5 animals attack?
Going back over my list again, my number 5 is going to be Congo.
Congo. Wasn't he like the dumb guy in Blazing Saddles? No, that was Mongo, not Congo. My bad.
Wow. Okay.
Congo only pawn in Game of Life. Yeah, but anyway, Congo.
Congo, a movie I only watched because I read the book first.
Ooh, this was a deep dive then.
Yeah.
So you read the book and then saw the movie? Now, did you know the movie was coming out and decide to read the book first, or was this something you had read like quite a bit of ways in advance?
Okay. Back in 1993, this movie came out called Jurassic Park.
Written
by Michael Crichton.
Mr. Crichton.
And after that movie came out, I read that book, and then I read everything else he wrote.
Even Westworld?
No, I didn't read
No,
Westworld.
I don't know if Westworld was a book, though.
I read most everything else
I think
he
that
wrote.
might have just been a movie or a screenplay, but not a novel.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that,
But I did do a lot of reading of this, and Congo was one of them that I read, and then it got made into a movie, and that movie was bad. But I still put it on my list.
Yeah. Hey, it's got Ernie Hudson in it.
It's got a lot of people in it.
It's got a lot of people. I say that
got
because
Tim Curry in it.
I say that because I've actually seen Ernie Hudson in person. So
Awesome.
yeah, he's had quite the career for a guy who never really has been a lead character, but he's kind of been like second, third character in lots of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not just Ghostbusters, but lots of movies. So
Bunch of movies. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is about the plight of the gorillas.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Kind of.
Are they normal gorillas? I don't remember. Or are they kind of like a mutated Planet of the Apes kind of gorilla?
They're a little bit mutated because of okay. So
back to square one now.
Back to square one. There's this group of people, let's call them evil because they are, that want to steal all the blue diamonds from this area of land.
Oh, and I see. There's an ecological
message here.
Even better. It has a message and it's terrible.
They get attacked by the gorillas that have been trained by the long lost inhabitants of this land. Like, people no longer live there, but the gorillas attack anybody that tries to grab these diamonds. Fast forward along into the future, and a gorilla named Amy, who is much like Coco, the sign language gorilla.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Has been drawing pictures of home. She calls it home. And it happens to be this temple. So they decide to take her back to the temple, and then they get attacked by gorillas they're protecting the temple. And a volcano happens. This movie's a mess. Oh. There's a lot of stuff happening.
It sounds very messy.
It's very messy. It was not.
So the ecologicalness of the message kind of gets, or the message of the ecology. I don't know how to say that.
The message that it was trying to portray
gets muddled.
Gets muddled along the way because nonsense sci-fi. Who's he? What's it? Yes.
Who's he? Watches whatchamacallits and doodads and. Mystical hoo-has.
The diamonds happen to fit into a laser, though.
Ooh, of course.
There's no reason for this laser. It kills gorillas.
It's not to for governments to use against their enemies at all?
Probably.
Is for privatization, private business, industry? Medical field?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Medical field uses lasers
honestly,
on people.
Honestly, I don't remember.
Yeah, well.
They have a laser, and the diamonds fit in it. And
that's a tagline to sell this movie. It has gorillas and lasers in it.
Gorillas and lasers and Tim Curry.
And Tim Curry, yes.
And a bad accent, as only Tim Curry can.
Of course. Is he dressed as like a Frankenhooker in this?
No.
No. That's a different movie.
He's Romanian.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is Congo.
That's all you really need to know about this movie.
Congo only pawn in Game of Life. Now it's going to be stuck in my head all day. All right, then I guess it's time for my number 5 film. And I will preface this by saying I kind of know what the first movie is going to be and what the last movie is going to be. Ones in the middle are probably going to be, I don't know, because I'm going to start with what I think is a legitimately good film, regardless of the animals, and then one that's just completely bonkers, and everything in the middle is kind of, I'm not sure where it goes. Okay. We'll see where they land. But the first one I'm going to talk about is a 50-year-old film from the early 70s called Willard. And Willard, just in case, this movie...
The original, not the remake?
It is the original Willard. There was a remake made with this in the 90s?
Yes.
Maybe the aughts?
Maybe early aughts?
Yeah. This is the original one. It's basically about a young man who is kind of a social misfit. He doesn't. He's had kind of a not so fortunate upbringing. Well, his father had this company, and then the father passed away, and then it was taken over by a friend of his, and he thinks that the friend probably, maybe killed him, or if not, it was a hostile takeover of the business.
Okay.
And so the son doesn't really have any ownership of it. He's kind of like a slave to his father's own business. And then he's got a mom at home that's not in good shape, and then she ends up dying, and then he's kind of all by himself in this big, beautiful house.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's kind of, nobody likes him. So he befriends a rat.
As you do.
As you do. And then after that, he ends up befriending a whole bunch of rats. And then all the rats are coming over to hang out in his basement. And pretty soon, he's pretty much just Rat Boy. And then the mom passes away, and then he's all alone in this house. And then someone who works with says, "Oh, I feel bad for you. I'm going to get you a present." Oh, what could that possibly be? He opens up, and it's a cat.
Oh, my God.
And he's like, "What? Don't you like cats?" Well, cats don't like rats. So, yeah, she doesn't know that he's got rats in his house. So.
Like, who would you tell that to?
Yeah.
By the way, all my friends are rats.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little weird there. And then his boss is played by Ernest Borgnine, which is, to me, I guess he's probably been like this in other films, but I'm kind of used to seeing Ernest Borgnine as being this happy-go-lucky guy who talks like this all the time, as opposed to being like a slave driver, office boss person, So, yeah, and then he kind of...
I mainly remember him in Airhawk? Is it Airhawk?
Oh, Airwolf.
Airwolf.
Yes.
Yes.
Where he's the co-pilot, yes. Dom the co-pilot. But, yeah, so he's like hanging out. And he kind of wants to distance himself from the rats a little bit. He takes one of them to work one day, and it kind of gets a little curious about the workplace, and it ends up getting killed by the boss, and so it doesn't... he enacts some revenge on the boss, let's say.
Yeah.
And they kind of do what they want him to do and all this other stuff. And I should mention that Willard is played by an actor named Bruce Davison. Mm-hmm. And he's not a real big name, but he's been around forever. And if you look at his IMDb page, he's got tons of credits. These guys works constantly in TV mostly, not as much in film. But he's probably most famous for being, these days, especially with the... MCU being so huge, he was in the first X-Men film.
Mm-hmm. He melted.
A big pile of goo on the beach.
No, he came
melted later.
He came out of the ocean and he melted later.
Yeah,
well,
his structural integrity was not intact, shall we say?
Like a part jellyfish or something.
Yeah. Magneto did a little experiment on him that didn't go so well.
Try to make him a mutant.
Yeah. To make him
as you do.
see the error of his ways, and boy did he ever. So, but yeah, that's Willard.
Is there a main rat?
Yes.
You got a sequel?
Yeah, there's a sequel called Ben.
Ben.
And unlike the bear, it's not Gentle Ben. No, it's Ben is that also could have been on this list. It's I don't think any of the characters in that movie are returning from the first film. I think they're all different. So, but that one I haven't seen though.
Oh.
But it's on Freevee. That's where
Willard
is. Willard is on Freevee. So yeah, that's Willard. Okay, Erin's number 4 animal attack film.
Okay, my number 4 animal attack film is, I'm gonna go with The Birds, which may actually be the oldest movie I've ever picked.
Really?
I don't pick a lot of old movies.
Was it 1963?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably...
Which very
Never
much...
picked anything older than that?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's even older than mine. Willard was 71, 72? I think 71.
I'll have to work on that.
Yeah.
Anyways, The Birds.
Yes.
Which is nothing happening and then birds happen.
That's pretty much it.
Like, I was going through it again in preparation for this, and it was very boring until birds. I was like, wow.
Well, you know what?
Wow.
you have to. There's this thing in the movie that you have to have called character development.
You don't need to develop characters
Yeah.
in movies. Come on.
You know, like not too long ago, there was what is supposed to be the final Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween film. Halloween Ends.
You mean that wonderful remake of Christine?
Well, the common thread from everybody I've heard who's seen it has said, surprising amount of character development, but not enough Michael Myers. Seems to be the common theme with all the reviews. So take that for what you will, whether or not you've seen it.
Yeah, I felt it wrapped up this little corner, this track of the Halloween Train Express, really well.
Yeah. What does that have to do with birds?
It doesn't have
Nothing.
anything to do with it.
Nothing whatsoever.
You brought it up.
I did bring it up. It's my fault.
There are birds.
But anyway, yeah, there's character development and then there's birds.
Birds. Lots of birds.
Yeah, this is an Alfred Hitchcock film too, by the way. Who was kind of good at freaking people out.
A Hitchcock-made movie of a Du Maurier story, which this is like the second or third one he did. He did a bunch of Du Maurier stories into movies, like Rebecca. Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm throwing out all of the information I know about this movie, and how her story was in like 58, and then The Birds came out in 63, but Hitchcock's version was based on a true story, occurrence type thing from 61, so it doesn't actually follow anything from her short story, but except title and birds are involved. Yeah, it's complicated.
Birds fly.
No one knows why the birds are attacking.
They just do.
They just do.
Sometimes it's better that way, though.
That is true.
You don't
That
need.
is true.
Because sometimes the more you know about something, the less scary it is.
I can tell you that that's how Smile should have gone, but that's a different story altogether.
Yeah. I haven't seen that yet, so.
It's okay until the very end.
Okay. I will have to follow up on that. All right.
Birds.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
All right.
Birds attack. That's all I got.
Birds
for you.
attack. My number 4 film. It also kind of falls in the. Well, I guess I don't want to say realistic, but it kind of is. It's because the creature in this film, the namesake of the film, does really attack people in real life, but they don't quite get this big normally. But the movie I'm talking about is 1980's Alligator. Yes, which I think it'd be safe to say it's not exactly a shark movie, so I don't think you can call it a shark exploitation movie, but it definitely follows in the wake of Jaws, for sure, because it's just, realistic animal attack film. Go do it.
Yes.
But, it also kind of, I think this is a movie that probably would have happened anyway at some point, but probably not as ridiculous as it got, because there were always these urban legends in various bigger cities that there were always alligators in the sewers eating stuff, or that's where they existed and fed on the whatever was discarded by the rest of the society. So, but yeah, it's weird. It starts off with a girl getting a pet alligator at an alligator wrestling tournament. As one does.
As you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen an alligator in person, so that I can remember.
You just at zoos.
Yeah. And of course, this isn't where we are at. This isn't exactly an ideal climate for them, but
That's true.
But then again, this is a movie, and those kind of rules don't really apply. But the dad gets mad one day and flushes. I don't know. He's mad at the stock market or something. And the kid's not around and just says, "I'm going to flush this thing down the toilet."
That makes perfect logical sense.
Yeah, of course it does. And and then several years pass, and there's some laboratory that experiments on animals. And someone who works there needs to go discard some, I guess, cadavers, for lack of a better word, of dead animals into the sewer because they have no place else to put them, and that's where the past kind of comes back to bite him, so to speak.
So this alligator's been living in the sewers for several years.
Yes.
And then eats a bunch of cadavers that have been medically tested.
I believe so, yes.
And then
this causes
becomes
it to
huge and wreaks havoc.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. So it really is a morality tale about animal testing when you think about it. But yeah, it goes on, and then the cops get involved, and then we get Robert Forster enters the picture, fresh off of his acclaimed role in The Black Hole. Not really, but because this is the one he made right after The Black Hole. But
don't remind me of that. It was fine.
Yeah. How can they be in space without spacesuits? But yeah, so he's the cop. He's like, he goes and checks out all this stuff, and his partner ends up getting eaten because they go check out the sewer thing.
Of course.
Yeah, and then he consults this scientist lady, who we find out that was actually the girl who had the alligator years before, and because she kind of tells it in backlog, my dad got me this thing at an alligator thing, and my dad flushed it down the toilet when I wasn't home. So we find out. I mean, she doesn't know that it's the same alligator.
She just happens to be a scientist working at the place that is doing the testing, or is
no?
she
This is a lady she's from like a university or
scientist.
something.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not co-opted by this other outfit.
That would have been
Conflict of interest. Yeah.
Coincidental.
Yeah,
I guess.
I think so. But
gotta sew up those plot holes.
So and then people start freaking out. Ooh, alligator and all this other kind of stuff, and they call in this alligator hunter who is played by Henry Silva, which he's got to be the worst alligator hunter I've ever seen. Not that I've seen a lot of them, but I mean it's almost like he's alligator bounty hunter. It's just he's not Steve Irwin, you know.
Proto Crocodile Dundee.
Not even. There's no accent, at least like Latino. So he's getting interviewed he's like absorbing all the media coverage because the police have called an alligator hunter, and he's like the police, all the camera crews are there from like all the news stations, and there's reporters asking him questions. He's like, well, the alligators, they usually don't come this far of this latitude and all this kind of thing, and then he's like. I don't think he realized the camera was on, but he's like, you're a very attractive reporter, but I'm here to talk about alligators today.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. He actually says that in the movie. So, yeah, and anyway,
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, don't test on animals. That's kind of...
That movie sounds great.
Yeah, it's an entertaining movie, I gotta admit. Remember, this goes from legitimately good to, like, just completely bonkers. So this is... only number 4, so it only gets worse from here. Okay.
Oh gosh.
It's time for Erin's number 3.
Oh, okay. I'm
Animal
gonna stick with the creatures of the alligator-ness, and I'm gonna go with Lake Placid.
Lake Placid.
Which is actually about crocodiles.
Yes.
But
now this is from the 90s, right?
Yeah, late 90s.
Late 90s. Okay.
And
is this Bill Pullman?
Yep.
And Bridget Fonda?
Pullman, Bridget Fonda, Oliver Plath, other people.
Yeah.
Betty White.
What?
Betty White.
Because Betty White makes everything better.
She really does. and actually, she's the villain.
That's even better.
Because she's the one feeding the crocodiles in her lake.
Now, is she feeding the crocodiles like cadavers from like test subjects?
No, she pushes a cow into the lake, or at least like herds a cow into the lake, and then the crocodiles are like, nom 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 nom.
Wow.
That's after they eat a guy, though.
So it's Betty White playing against type.
Yeah.
Because
no, she's
because
totally an animal lover still here because she's feeding the crocodiles that are living there.
Well,
she loves the crocodiles more than the cow.
Well, okay, that's logic's
Right?
a little warped there, but yeah, sure. I mean, because like the real Betty White in real life was quite a animal rights person, so that's kind of just bizarre to hear, like feeding cows to crocodiles.
The crocodile has to eat too.
Yeah,
man.
crocs got to eat.
Yeah.
Boys got to eat. Girls got to eat.
What else
Everybody's
would
gotta
you
eat.
feed a crocodile?
Anything?
Not a cow?
Well, I mean, they eat there's another movie on your list I'm sure we're going to get to where we'll talk about something that eats anything, so.
That is true.
Yeah. Will the crocodile care? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. And Bill Pullman's in it. Mm-hmm. And Bill Pullman's good in just about anything.
Yes.
Yes. Even bad movies, he's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And this is a bad movie as well. It's not quite Congo bad.
So your list is the opposite of mine. Does it get from like really bad movies to like legitimately good? Mine goes from like good to like bad.
Mine kind of seesaws.
Okay.
As you'll find out. You'll probably think my number 1 and my number 2 should be swapped, but they aren't.
Oh, okay. I can't wait. All right, is that it?
Gosh,
Is there more to it than just crocodiles?
They made like 4 sequels.
4 of them.
And then they also incorporated the anaconda from Anaconda.
Oh, I see. They're doing a multiverse.
Yeah. At
yeah.
some point in time, I'm sure Sharknado will.
I take that back. Not a multiverse, but a shared universe.
A shared universe.
Yes, okay.
All Sci-Fi Channel movies are in a shared universe made by Asylum Productions.
Yes.
Fact.
You just keep.
Like don't check me on
cranking 'em
that. Just believe what I say.
Okay. All right. That it?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your number 3?
My number 3, Animal Attacks movie. I noticed, I couldn't help but notice that there's a movie coming up that's supposed to be a kind of a big deal called Avatar, The Way of Water.
I mean, yeah.
As of this recording.
People could say that is a big deal.
Yeah. From what I've been hearing about it, it has to make like a couple billion just to break even or something. But yeah, it'd probably be fine.
They've revoked all passes for the first 2 weeks.
What do you mean?
You
mean like the movie pass?
Like studio passes. Like, say that you went and bought some discounted tickets online, like a booklet of passes.
Oh, like the discount tickets.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Those can't be used. Rain check passes. So, like, if something happened to a movie and you got a pass that could let you into any movie.
Yeah, the aspect ratio on this movie is messed up. I want my money back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or your Fathom event broke down.
Yeah. Like The Thing?
Yeah, like The Thing.
I heard that was a big fiasco.
It was.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good time. Anyways, you'd get a pass saying you could come back to any movie at any time. Sort of is, we're sorry, come back to the movies.
So you can't do that for the first 2 weeks?
No.
But like 2 weeks and 1 day, you can use it.
Yeah,
Okay.
which would be New Year's Eve.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So use all your passes on New Year's Eve.
Save pass for New Year's Eve.
And then wonder why there's no opening box office weekend.
Because I'm sure everybody's going to do the
2
exact
weeks.
same thing as me. But anyway, the movie, of course, Avatar is a James Cameron joint. And this is not his first venture into the water, per se. He's had a couple of others.
Just a few.
Yeah, The Abyss, of course.
A little film called Titanic. Yep.
And his very first credited directorial film called Piranha 2, The Spawning, which is a great title. Unfortunately, I don't think the movie really lives up to the title very much. No. It has a great idea, I think. But here's the thing. Before this, about 3 years before this, there's Roger Corman, who is Mr. Exploitation. Of course, wanted to take, surprise, wanted to take advantage of Jaws and made a movie called Piranha, which, oddly, it was directed by Joe Dante. That was one of his first, maybe his second film. went on to do Gremlins and Twilight Zone, all kinds of stuff. Explorers, Howling. Oh yeah, we did talk about the Howling, didn't we? A little bit, not a lot. But anyway, they kind of, rather than saying let's not make a lesser Jaws film, let's kind of do it a little more tongue-in-cheeky. Like they're not afraid to like make bad jokes or let senior citizens get eaten by fish. They just go have fun with it. They weren't trying to be have the pathos or tension of like Robert Shaw making his Indianapolis speech or Richard Dreyfuss or any of that stuff. Let's just have fun with it. So that was kind of the way they went. Well, with this one, oddly enough, they sold the rights to the sequel to another company, and the film was made in Italy, but they picked James Cameron, who worked for Roger Corman, to do the directing. And he had been working in special effects for a while. He did some matte paintings for Escape from New York, along with some other things. And there's an Alien ripoff movie called Forbidden World, and the inside of the spaceship to Forbidden World has this weird textured wall down the hallway, and then when you look real closely, it's like to-go containers from restaurants that are folded open and put on a wall and painted so it looks like a funky texture. When you like watch Star Wars and they got those weird things coming out of the walls of like ships and stuff. That's basically what this is. But if you're not paying attention, you don't know what it is. But this, like, they took I don't know how many of these, but to-go containers with the little slots where you put your mashed potatoes and all that kind of stuff. They flipped them open and stapled them to a wall and painted it.
Nice.
That was his idea. Or like you do that with like Big Mac containers because they used to be foam and stuff. But that was kind of some of the stuff James Cameron did before he became a director. Well, he was. I don't know if he was the first director on this film, but he was a director on the film, and he's credited because...
Oh, that always bodes well for films.
Yeah. Well, and he kind of disowns it, which rightfully so. But he claims, he did an interview on the Howard Stern show where he talked about it a little bit, and he claimed he was fired after 10 days. Because apparently the producers of this film didn't like anybody who directed it.
No one was good enough for Piranha 2.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. And one thing is, this is on this film is where James Cameron made a buddy named Lance Henriksen, and Lance Henriksen would go on to be cast in his other films like The Terminator and Aliens and that kind of thing. So, other than that, it's just a bunch of. It's a great idea. Fish with like huge dragonfly wings that fly out of the water and eat people. But other than that, it's kind of stupid. Yeah.
How many Piranha movies have they made?
Well, there's those two, and then there's
a 3D.
Some recent ones in the last...
And then there's another 3D.
3 double D.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, and they got Richard Dreyfuss to be in one of them for a cameo. I know that.
Yeah, that was the most recent one. He was in the most recent one.
Yeah.
Which would have been double D, yeah.
Do you think this movie is better than 47 Meters Down or whatever it was called? The shark movie?
No. But I don't know.
That one wasn't very good
absolutely
either.
hated that movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that you made me watch it.
Well, that was for our other show. That
but I still had to watch it. And if I didn't have to watch it, I wouldn't have gone. But I would have walked out in the middle of that movie. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
No.
I walked out of Cats.
Well, you missed the best part of Cats then.
What, them licking themselves?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
When it ended, that's the best part of Cats.
I saw
it
Ian
ends,
McKellen
finally.
licking out of a saucer. It's like, do I really need to see the rest of this movie? But anyway, on to Erin's number 2 edible attack film.
Well, since we've been beating around this bush, my number 2 movie is Jaws. It's just straight up Jaws.
Yeah, number 2, huh?
Yeah, yep. I have a better one, or at least one that I like more.
Okay.
Though I will say, with all the movies that I watched, Jaws, the original, was not the first Jaws movies that I saw.
Man, wow. You didn't see the first Jaws first. You didn't see the first Alien first. I know you talked about another one that you didn't see first either. Was it Ghostbusters?
No, I saw original Ghostbusters
Okay,
first.
but it's like there was another one too.
There's a bunch.
Yeah.
There's a
wow.
bunch. It's I jumped
So which
into
one
the
did you
middle.
see first?
Um,
Was it 2, 3?
I want to say it was 3. It's whatever one has the Quaid in it.
Oh, Randy Dennis
Dennis
Quaid?
Quaid, yeah.
That was Jaws 3.
3?
Where they're at like SeaWorld?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
was
they have that
3D.
electrical grid at the end.
Yeah, it was
That's what I remember about this
3D.
movie.
And it was also the film debut, I believe, of Leah Thompson of Back to the Future fame. And,
Yeah.
you know, non sequitur here, but not really. Joe Dante was originally supposed to direct Jaws 3. You know what it was originally going to be called?
I can only imagine what was originally supposed to be called.
Jaws 3, People 0.
God.
Which I think would have been amazing. That would have been an amazing title for a movie.
Oh no.
But no, they had to make
No.
it 3D and be hipsters, and because there was a 3D thing. There's a thing. There's a
Really not.
yeah. No, it's 3D's not good. But anyway, Jaws.
Just that one. And then Jaws 4 was the... I saw the ending of Jaws 3 first. All of Jaws 4. And then saw regular Jaws.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I went all out of order. Because I remember mainly a shark in the Caribbean for no reason.
Yeah.
We followed him down there. Anyways.
Of course it did.
Jaws, the
Yeah.
original,
Yes.
the superior, is about a shark attack over the 4th of July weekend off the coast of Amity.
You will not believe on social media how many memes I see with Mayor What's-His-Face.
Here, what's his face, indeed.
Yeah, I forget it. It's Murray Hamilton's the actor. I forget like the name of the mayor. It's like Marty or Morty or something. I don't remember. There's that. Hey, the beach is open and everyone's having a wonderful time. Ah! People dying horribly.
Oh,
Yeah.
this movie has a really good jump scare.
Oh, it's got.
It's got a lot of good jump scares, but it's
Yeah.
got one very specific jump scare of a dude's face underwater.
Yeah,
and-
Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, it scared the crap out of me when I was a small child.
Yeah.
As it does, as sharks do. I never really liked sharks growing up, but
Yeah, because
I'm
I'm
okay with
sure,
the Jaws
much like
movies.
alligators, there's so many of them around this climate, you know.
You would be surprised of how many reoccurring dreams I had specifically about sharks as a child, growing up here, around here. It's amazing.
That is very strange.
Very weird.
Yeah,
Sharks.
yeah. We don't really need to go over the plot of Jaws, do we?
No.
I don't think we do.
Jaws. You know.
There's that then there's like the great speech by Robert Shaw that I think they call it the Indianapolis speech on the boat with him and Richard Dreyfuss, and they're having a night off and they're kind of just letting off some steam, and yeah, it's kind of now that's character development.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's fun. Yeah.
And they definitely need a bigger boat.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
That it?
Yes.
All right.
Jaws.
Am I on the number 2 now?
Yes.
All right. My number 2 film is pretty crazy. Maybe a little more realistic than Piranha 2 because these aren't mutated things. But it's a not
Like
as
everything could be more realistic than Piranha 2.
yeah. I mean, it deals with something that maybe could happen.
Okay.
Especially if the climate change thing continues. But the movie is just so plotting and not good. It's a movie from 1978 called The Swarm, about African killer bees that make their way from South America up through like the southwest part of the United States. And it's a little bit disconcerting when the general who's in charge of like all the military stuff stops referring to them as African bees and calls them Africans. The Africans are moving into Texas. It's like,
Oof.
yeah, I thought. This movie was directed by Irwin Allen. If you don't know who Irwin Allen is, he was pretty prolific from the 60s up through till about 1980 or so. He started out in television where he had tons of TV going on at the same time. He had Lost in Space, he had Voyage Beyond the Sea, The Time Tunnel, Land of the Giants, a bunch of those shows. And then in the 70s, he kind of became known as the master of disaster because he was really he might be single-handedly responsible for disaster films because he was Towering Inferno, Earthquake, The Poseidon Adventure, those kind of movies. And then he gets around to doing The Swarm, which, it's got a height, there's like an Academy Award caliber cast with like nothing to do.
That sounds like all disaster movies.
Yeah, it pretty much is. It's pretty, there you see some of the beast stuff early on, then you don't see them for a long time. It's these plotting, we have to stop the bees. Okay, how do we stop the bees? Well, we got to call a bunch of scientists. Okay, let's call the scientists. Okay, call the people from this town. It's just, and it's, these aren't like, slough act. I mean, Michael Caine is the lead in the movie, but you also have people like Catherine Ross, who was in The Graduate, Fred McMurray, the pride of Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, Fred McMurray. Olivia de Havilland, I think she was in Gone with the Wind, wasn't she? I think she was. And Jose Ferrer, these high caliber actors, and just in a monster movie, creature movie. Yeah.
Wow.
The only thing that has more bees in it than Nicolas Cage's mask. Not the bees!
Not
oh my
the
god!
bees!
Which
Not the
that
bees.
Wicker Man's not really a animals attack movie.
No.
I mean, that in that scene it is, but it's not the theme of the film. So, but yeah, it's just what it sounds like. It's just killer bees and moving through, and then Michael Caine figures out a way to like get rid of them, but he, for some reason, he didn't. For being a brilliant scientist, he didn't come up with this idea earlier in the crisis.
Of course not.
No. But
It's totally a third act thing.
yeah. But I'll give some. There is a kid in this movie. I don't know who the kid is, but his family gets killed by the killer bees. And he locks himself in a car and drives the car away. And he and his friends are going to try and get rid of him with Molotov cocktails. And of course,
Then you have flaming bees.
then you have flaming bees. But they are resourceful enough to, like, after they do that, they are in this park and they flip over the trash cans, and they're small enough where they can sit in the trash cans and the bees can't get them after they do that. So, yeah, some not all kids in movies are dumb. Yeah. So there you go. Oh, Henry Fonda's in the movie too. There's another Oscar winner.
Jeez.
Playing
Keep naming names and just like,
yeah, there's
wow.
a lot of big names in this movie. So.
Wow.
But his death is kind of, spoiler alert, he dies in the movie.
Okay.
It is dumb because he tests this potential venom destroyer thing on himself and he dies. So, yeah.
Sad. Is the answer insecticide?
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
I just watch it, or don't. No.
Or don't.
Yeah, it's the Swarm.
Those are the choices you have.
Yeah. So there you go. That's my number 2 film.
I like it.
Yeah. We have to get rid of these bees. We have to get rid of the Africans. Well, they're African bees, General. No, they just just through the movie, you just call them the Africans are moving towards Texas. The Africans have penetrated New Mexico. Yeah. So there you go. All right. What is your? Are we on the ones now?
You're on number 1, yeah.
All right. What is Erin's number 1 animal attack movie?
Cujo.
Cujo. Oh yes.
The pinnacle of when animals attack movies.
Now that's also a realistic-ish kind of movie too.
Yes.
As are most, well, probably not the piranhas, but
Yeah.
not the piranhas with wings anyway, but most of them have been pretty realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Willard, maybe not so much because mice or rats don't obey humans usually.
Right, right.
But there's a lot of realistic, even the swarm, as dumb as it is,
There's some realism
swarms
in
of
there.
bees can
Yeah.
do things, yeah. But yeah, Cujo.
Cujo.
Yeah.
Cujo.
Now,
Stephen King adaptation.
Now, do you have a particular history with this? Much
do.
like Congo, did you read this before you
I did.
watched it?
I did.
Like right before?
Um,
Or sometime before?
a bit of time before.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started getting into reading a lot, as a 5th grader.
You read that in the 5th grade?
I read that in the 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Cujo was the first Stephen King book I ever read.
Okay. It was Christine for me.
Nice.
I read that
Some of
because
the
this was around the
ways
time
in.
I was getting my driver's license. Christine, horror movie about a kid who gets his first car. I gotta read that.
I read Cujo because I really like St. Bernards. They're my favorite
big.
dog.
They're a big dog. I was at
If I ever have one, it's going to be a St. Bernard.
I was at a dog park a few years ago, and the lady had 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
They just hopped out of her car. I thought they were like elephants at first because they're just big.
Huge.
They're just like, they're just big dogs, and they're gentle, but they're just big. Mm-hmm. Well, unless you're Cujo.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let you continue.
I'm not sure where I was.
Cujo.
Cujo.
Yeah.
St. Bernard gets bit by a bat and develops rabies, and then goes on a murderous rampage because of rabies. So he can't help him. He can't help himself. It is all the rabies.
So another message movie.
Another message movie.
Don't get rabies.
Yeah, don't get rabies.
Maybe.
And don't lock yourself in a car in the hot sun with no way of escaping and no water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is good to know that the ending to the movie is different than the ending to the book. So, reading the book, I was a bit sad. Watching the movie, I was like, oh, well, okay, I guess that can happen too.
Yeah, so the movie wasn't as much of a bummer as the book was?
Correct, yes. Still, the dog has rabies, it has to be put down. It has an Old Yeller moment, amongst a few. But in the book, spoilers, the boy dies, the young child dies of heat elements and stuff. Heat exhaustion, heat stroke. Yeah.
Well, being locked in
he
the car.
survives.
Yeah.
He survives in the movie. They are able to revive him.
Yeah. Don't you know you're not supposed to leave kids or animals in hot cars? See, that's another lesson.
So many lessons.
There's so many lessons in this
for
movie.
a movie that
a lot of
Stephen
these movies
King
have
is
underlying messages and lessons.
That proud of. This is one of the.
The movie he's not?
No, the book he is not, because this is one that he says was written in the
Cocaine?
Cocaine.
Yeah. He wrote it on the cocaine.
Yeah.
That song by Buck Cherry, I love the cocaine. Yeah, it was.
He did. Yeah, he did a lot of drugs in the 70s. And this is one of the many books that he wrote under the influence. But the movie, good.
Unlike Creepshow, where he was on drugs on screen.
Yeah.
You ever seen Maximum Overdrive?
Yes, I have.
His 30, I don't think it's even 30. I think it's 10-second scene. He had to have been on cocaine.
Had to have been.
Hey, honey, come here! Where he does that thing with the.
He had to have been on everything
Yeah.
while making that movie.
Yeah.
That movie. It's out. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Cujo?
I'm going to take that meteor and get rich. But, yeah. Did you ever hear the story about how he came up with this book story?
Cujo?
Yeah.
No.
He was a motorcycle enthusiast, or at least he used to be. I don't think he is anymore. But after his accident, not his motorcycle accident, but he was hit by a car several years ago. And he was riding his motorcycle, and he needed something wrong with it, and he pulled over to some gas station garage place. He said he needed some work done on his bike, and he was. And out of the, he said, he opened up the garage door, and out came the biggest dog I have ever seen. And that's kind of where he got the idea for Cujo, I guess. So
that would do it.
And the mom, interesting cast. The mom is Dee Wallace, who was also the mom in E.T., and she was also in The Howling. So she's had some experience with crazy dog-like things. And the kid... the boy was, I forget his name now, but he was the younger brother in this show, Who's the Boss? Alyssa Milano's younger brother. So, and the director was Louis Teague, who also directed...
Why do you throw it at me like that? Like
Alligator.
Oh, okay.
Alligator, same
As
director.
we were just saying, I'm not paying attention to the show.
Well,
are we filming it? Come on.
All right.
I'm sorry,
I didn't expect you to know that. I just... Even if you said Steven Spielberg, I would have said wrong.
Like,
nope. Louis Teague, director of Alligator, and I think Alligator got him this job. So, yeah, just some useless trivia for you.
This movie came out in '83.
Yes, it did. It was a hot and sticky summer being trapped in that car. That was supposed to be done in Morgan Freeman's voice. I don't know why I said that, but is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay, my number one film. Well, I said I was starting with like not necessarily believable but pretty good movie to like slightly not good but entertaining, ludicrous kind of entertaining to just boring but realistic. Now I'm going to like unrealistic and pretty crazy. Or in this case, rabbit crazy, because it's called A Night of the Lepus, which is Latin for, I think, rabbit. It's Latin for something.
Bunny.
Bunny, yeah. And I guess I didn't really, until I saw this movie, that, when we see rabbits around here, they're just kind of, they're cute and they're cuddly and like, where's my Easter eggs and all this other stuff. Or...
All rabbits do that around here, yes.
Yeah, in the candy commercials where they make them do the and then they have eggs, I guess. But in like other parts of the world, like Australia, they're actually kind of considered an ecological pest because they eat, crops and damage things.
They get to be like this big.
Yeah, and that was kind of the theme of this movie, although this takes place in the southwest part of the country, like New Mexico, which means the killer bees should be arriving to kill all the rabbits. Cause
they just gotta meet it on two heads.
But so that was kind of an issue. Like this rancher who was played by Rory Calhoun, old movie cowboy Rory Calhoun. And after this, actually, he went on to be in a horror movie called Motel Hell, which is really interesting. Hopefully I can work that into a Flick List episode someday. But
I can't wait.
Oh, we'll get there. But anyway, like these rabbits they're kind of like almost like prairie dogs. They're kind of tearing up his land and eating things, and he even had to like put down a horse because it tripped in one of the holes and all this kind of stuff. It's like, what are we gonna do about these rabbits? So he contacts a scientist friend of his who is played by none other than DeForest Kelley.
Wow.
Dr. McCoy from Star Trek. He's even sporting like a 70s mustache.
Oh, no.
And it's pretty wild. Hey, this was 1972.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Give him the stash.
You can't live off Star Trek royalties forever. But and then they get
Not at that point, you couldn't.
Nope. Yeah, those would take a while to kick in. But and then they find this other scientist guy and his wife who are doing these experiments on bats and thinks he can do the same thing for rabbits. How do you get him to stop breeding? Well, he's trying to inject these like hormone things to like stop them from breeding so much, and they find out, this is making them bigger. Like, so the experiment didn't work. Well, the girl
still bred like rabbits.
Yeah. Well, the daughter, they have a daughter, and the daughter kind of likes rabbits, and she took one out to play with, and then she got into an argument with one of the kids on the ranch, and then the rabbit ran away, and that's kind of where everything kind of starts to go south.
One rabbit becomes 80 rabbits.
Yep. And I will say one thing, though. The miniatures in this movie are... I was expecting them to not be good, but they're actually pretty decent. You know, because they just... That's what... I mean, you can't make rabbits bigger, so they just put them on, like, sets with miniatures to make them look huge. So, yeah, and then they... I don't know why, since they became bigger, they would become more hostile. That's never explained. You know? Because rabbits are usually pretty gentle.
Pretty, yeah.
At least as far... I mean, they don't want to, like, eat people.
Except for the ones in the ancient England.
Oh. Why did they have, like, knives and scabbards?
You ever heard of the rabbit of Caer Benog?
Oh, you mean Monty Python?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
oh,
I mean Monty Python.
That rabbit, yes. That rabbit was nasty.
It's got big, nasty, pointy teeth.
Yeah, so...
Anyways.
Yeah, this is surprisingly bloody for a big monster movie. And they show this on... if you have MeTV, they have this show called Svengoolie, where he shows older films. And he showed this one night, and I was like,
I know that this was done on Mystery Science Theater.
"This one?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
I don't think so. No, you're probably thinking of not proper Mystery Science Theater, but it was like a Riff Tracks.
Either one.
Yeah,
they're the same to me.
I think they did it on a Riff Tracks.
Okay.
Yeah, but I got a bunch of them at home. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, they figure out like a somewhat clever way to get rid of them. Electricity, you know, kind of like with the Jaws 3. Only it's not underwater. They use railroad tracks and that kind of thing.
And then they have just all the Hassenpfeffer you can eat.
Yeah, and Janet Leigh's in this film also.
Oh.
Yeah, Psycho fame, speaking of Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah. And the role of the little girl supposedly was supposed to be, they were going to put her daughter, Jamie Lee Curtis, in that part, but she didn't want her to be in a scary movie, which is ironic because she ended up being a Scream Queen a few years after this, so yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. Halloween, Motel Hell, there's all kinds of horror movie connections
all
to this.
Of them.
Yeah. They all, it's just the nexus is just at the big giant killer rabbits. So
giant evil bunnies.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there you go. That's my number one. Are we done?
I believe so.
Oh, wow. Well, that's our animals attack list. Surprising amount of like underlying messages in a lot of these movies, even though they're kind of not always good, but there's something to be learned.
Ecological things going on, and
that's right.
Respect the planet, and it will respect you.
Something
type
like
of thing.
that. Well, I guess that's it. Until next time, say hi to Erin at the theater if you see her there. So
it surprises me every time.
Yeah, yeah, and hit our little thumbs up that's down here too. We appreciate that. So, and share. So until next time, I'm Drew.
I'm Erin.
Yeah, and don't get attacked by animals.